Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am on a mission to hit 1,000 subscribers, so if you can click that button below, I would appreciate it. So today I actually kind of wanted to sit down and do an extremely casual video of what my first week is like hosting an exchange student. In my mind, I had it visioned where I was gonna have all my makeup done and I was gonna be put together and I was gonna have my shit put together as well. But surprisingly, I've had a lot of bumps in the road with this process. Personally, I do wanna first off by saying it has nothing to do with my exchange student and who I'm hosting at all. She's been great. It's just more things that I did not expect I had to do or go through once she has arrived. So basically I'm just gonna start off the first full week. So if this is a long video, I am so sorry. Make sure to grab snacks, water, whatever you need to do to listen if you are interested in what it's like hosting an exchange student for the first week, or if you are interested in ever actually doing it for the future. So I think that this is a great video to kind of reference back on. All right, so we're actually gonna start with day one, which was August. I'm gonna look at my phone. It's about to die, but we'll do the best we can. We're gonna start with August 2nd, which is actually day of arrival. So with that, she basically was flying from Spain, leaving at I think 11:30 her time, landing in Orlando at 6:30 p.m. our time, and everything was going great with her flight. I tracked it all. I was kind of like stalking it, to be truthful. Short story there was she went from Spain to Kennedy, which is in New York, and then her flight got delayed from Kennedy down to Florida. So then I went with Kyle, picked her up, and traffic was horrendous, but we made it through. We grabbed dinner, and then that was Monday. Tuesday, basically as soon as she arrives, you're supposed to take her to urgent care. It is a requirement once the student arrives. One is because they have to get their shot record transferred in order to go to school here, and they actually also have to do a physical, which truthfully I was not aware that they had to do a physical in order to go to school. I thought that they were doing a physical if they wanted to join a sport. So that mess up is on my part, so just know that. But basically the program does send you her entire file with all her shot records and anything that you should need, a liability waiver signed by the parents, yada yada yada. So I originally contacted urgent care, one that was suggested to contact that would accept exchange students. I told them exactly what I was doing. They booked me an appointment. I was like, perfect. So I ended up going down there with all my documents, and shockingly, I actually ran into another family who was also hosting an exchange student. They were hosting a boy from Germany. So they were having a little bit more problems than me personally, only because all their shot records were in German versus mine were actually in Spanish and English. So it was very beneficial for me. However, the urgent care that I ended up booking that appointment through, the physician refused to see any exchange students. So that alone was like thrown off guard for me. And basically I ended up calling a bunch of urgent cares because I'm like, crap, like I have to get her registered to school. So school started the following week. So I was calling around a bunch of places. Everyone was like, I'm sorry, like we're booked. We can't take appointments due to COVID. You know, we're extremely overwhelmed. And they were telling me that if I went there, that the shot record transfer would take up to 7 days. And I'm like, I don't have 7 days. Like I barely have 24 hours at this point. So, I ended up contacting an urgent care pretty close to home, and the lady who answered was phenomenal, like so phenomenal, to the point where I was just like, this is too good to be true. And I ended up going there. They had me just fill out one of their required forms. I handed all my shot records over to the nurse, and the nurse is like, you know what, I'll call you before end of day and we'll get you the document you're needing for school. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, right? So I was like, hey, let's just go ahead, drive around town. Let's kind of get to know the area a little bit. And then next, you know, probably about 2 hours later, I ended up getting a call from the doctor's urgent care. And they were basically saying to me, you know, we noticed that her hepatitis B shot was missing. So I'm like, well, I mean, what am I supposed to do? So they're like, well, you can go to the Department of Health. It's a requirement by the school. blah, blah, blah. So I contact them. They're like, well, we're not seeing anyone. She's going to have to wait till Saturday to do like a walk-in. And I'm like, I don't have till Saturday. Like, I need this immediately. So my exchange student kind of freaked out a little bit, and she called her mom. Her mom's like, actually, you just had that shot done in March. Let me email you let me PDF you the document. So I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. So I go running back up to urgent care, and I'm like, hey, can you please do me a solid and print these documentation? I have the hepatitis B shot. Please do this for me. So they're like, all right, no problem. Email it here. Printed it. The doctor, or nurse, I should say, finished the paperwork. She's like, just sit in the lobby, handed it to me within like less than 15 minutes. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, this is amazing, right? So there's first hiccup with Tuesday running around crazy. Then Wednesday, I have an appointment with the school to, what I'm thinking, hand over the shot record, saying, hey, here's my form. Let's get her transferred. I have to sign a form. She has to sign a form, basically enrolling her into the school. And I'm giving it over, and then come to find out, they're like, oh, she needs a physical. And I was like, well, I know she's doing a sports physical. And they're like, no, no, no. Like, there's a sports physical, and then there's a school physical. And we can use the sports physical for the school physical, but not the school physical for the sports physical. If that sounded confusing, that's exactly how I felt too. So I'm like, all right, so basically what you're telling me is do the sports physical and it will be accepted everywhere. And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, that's what I'm going to do then. So I'm like, shit. So without this physical, now she can't officially be rolled into school. So I'm like, all right. Back to urgent care we go. So I ended up dropping off what I could at school, and then I couldn't actually get an appointment back to urgent care until Friday. So basically Thursday to me was just kind of like a lay low day. She was finally able to kind of like settle in, relax, and not feel like rush, 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 which to me was like amazing, and that felt amazing. And then Thursday, or no, excuse me, and then Friday I actually had to take off work, because what I've been noticing when I was going to urgent care is people were making appointments, but because they kept getting so many walk-ins, it was like a 4 o'clock appointment wasn't being seen to almost 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they're not allowing you to wait inside. You have to sit in your car. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do the first available appointment that I can, right? And in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, I got an appointment at 8:40 a.m. at urgent care. And then I said to her, hey, we'll go to the gym, we'll work out, and then we have to be at school orientation at 12:30. Guys, that sounds like enough time, right? Like, that sounds like enough time. Oh, no, no, no. So we get to the appointment, 8:40 sharp. I have all my documentation, everything pre-filled out before my appointment, because they send you like a text message, hey, fill this, this, and this out so your appointment goes quicker. I'm like, amazing, cool, great. So I do all that. I actually get seen, and we're brought back, you know, into the waiting room. And while we're waiting, they end up doing a vision test on Candela, which is, I guess I'll just say it, is my exchange student. So they do a vision test on her, and they bring her back in the room. And we're waiting, waiting, waiting. She's like, did they forget about us? And I can kind of hear like patients like in the background where they're like, did you guys forget about me? I've been waiting in here forever. I'm waiting, you know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know what? Unfortunately, it's urgent care. This is kind of what we deal with. I waited an hour and 15 minutes, okay? And then the manager comes up. Again, super sweet lady, but it's just the point. An hour and 15 minutes later, she comes into the office and she's like, hey, I'm sorry, but she actually failed her vision test. You know, does she happen to wear contacts or glasses? And she's like, yes, I do, but I didn't bring them with me. I didn't know that you guys were doing this. And again, I didn't either. I mean, I haven't been to school, guys, in basically almost 15 years, okay? So I'm totally new at this. I am like, yeah, completely learning a lot. So anywho, she's like, well, I have glasses, but they're at home. And so she's like, all right, you're gonna have to go home and you're gonna have to get them and come back. But also, effective July 1, we now require the parents' authorization for you as me, like me as the guy, as the guardian, to like sign on her behalf. And I'm like, you fucking joking me? Like, are you joking me, right? Keep in mind, her family's in Spain. That's a 6-hour difference. So she's calling her mom. She's like, I need you to get to your email. I have to send you a form. You're gonna have to print it off, sign it, scan it, and email it back into us, right? And I'm thinking to myself, this is just not gonna work. So we get back in the car. I said, listen, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna get her glasses. We're gonna talk to her parents, get this taken care of. By the time I come back, please tell me you are going to see me right away. Like, please tell me. I've already waited an hour and 15 minutes. I shouldn't have to wait any longer. And they're like, all right, no problem. So we get in the car, we drive home, we grab her glasses, her contacts. I said, bring it all. In the meantime, she's on the phone with her mom, trying to get all the documents. Of course, she's not getting the email. Then they have to send it again. No joke. As soon as we walk into urgent care, her mom got the paperwork, signed it, and sent it back in. And I was just like, thank you so much for being on top of this. Like, thank you so much. So she goes back, she does her vision test, she passed. And then we didn't even wait probably no more than 5 minutes. And then the doctor ended up coming in, did her physical, handed us the paperwork. And then we rushed the hell home. At this point, it's like, I'm not even making this up. It's 11:45, okay? And I still haven't taken a shower. I still haven't gotten ready. And we have to be back in the school for orientation at 12:30 to hopefully have a schedule for her on Tuesday for when school starts, which is August 10th, right? So I literally come home. I rush to get dressed. She rushes to get dressed. I have all the paperwork I need. And then we head to the school. We do the orientation, which was complete and utter waste of time. They didn't go over anything that we were hoping they would in regards to like dress code. Like, yes, I know certain things that the students could wear, but she was more curious on the length of like shorts and skirts and things like that nature. Obviously, she was wanting to get her schedule. And from what I was being told from the front office was, you know, basically what they do is they'll hand out schedules to the students that are there. If you don't have a schedule, the guidance counselor that you are assigned to based off of your last name will actually be sitting with you and actually creating the schedule. So on Tuesday, you'll be set to go. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. That sounds so organized. And none of that freaking happened. So we go, we meet with the guidance counselor who's basically standing at the front of the auditorium and handing out, you know, schedules and everything. And we're like, hey, XYZ, we're here to pick up her schedule. And she's like, well, no, I don't have it. You know, all her paperwork has to be turned in order for us to create a schedule for her. And I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't told to me. So I'm like, I have her physical right here. And she's like, yeah, go bring that to the front office. And then, you know, we'll be able to make her a schedule. So I'm like, all right, are we going to have a schedule for her by the time school starts on Tuesday? And they're like, we'll do our best. So I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, okay. So go running up to the front office, I hand them her physical, and I said, you know, please get her a schedule. Is there anything else that's needed for me? And they're like, no, I think that's the last piece of information. So my niece was super sweet. She ended up meeting us at the school. I mean, I went to that school, again, many years ago, but she just graduated last year. So she ended up getting her a personal tour of the entire school, making her a lot more comfortable. We're like, certain classes we're going to be at and like cafeteria and like the gym and blah, 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 blah. So kind of went over the entire school with her. I appreciated it so much. Later that night, Candela, Haley, and then I ended up meeting my sister at a mall, basically at the Orlando Outlet Mall. And I treated Haley to some lunch because I was just beyond appreciated with everything that I was just going on. So that was nice to be able to kind of go out and like relax, right? So of course it's like all weekend I'm like monitoring like my emails to see, is she gonna get a schedule, like what's going on, blah, 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 blah. So I don't even remember truthfully what we ended up doing that weekend. I don't, like, my mind has been in 1,000 different directions. It's absolutely crazy. And then Monday comes around, no freaking schedule. And then I end up waking up, going to the gym on Tuesday morning, which is like the first day of school, just because like I couldn't sleep with everything that was going on prior, and then with the schedule not having it, and then, you know, worried for her because it's just like she's in a brand new environment. She doesn't know anybody. She's going all by herself. Like I'm stressing out for her. So I was like, you know what? I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I went to the gym, and I was like, you know what? For shits and giggles, like let me check, right? Like what's the chance? And guys, she had a schedule. And I'm like, I know that this isn't gonna be right. Like, I just know it. I just know it. So I screenshot it. I send it to her. I said, hey, you have a schedule. Within like 15 minutes, she's texting me and she's just like, none of this is right. None of this is right. So I'm like, oh my God. So anyways, basically what ended up happening, what am I? Oh, I'm at 15 minutes. Sorry guys. So basically, I don't want to go too much into it a little bit further, but basically at that point she ended up going up to the school. She had to ask for a change in her schedule. They finally made some changes to it. They didn't change everything she needed. She had to go back up to guidance like 2 days later because they wouldn't see her. She had to change it again. And then finally today, which is August 16th, everything has finally been settled. She finally has all her schedules corrected. She has her lunch figured out. She has she's able to access the school website, which she was having a really hard time getting into. She finally took the bus for the first time today. So right now I'm starting to kind of breathe a little bit more. I definitely would say that it's a lot to learn on what I really did not know, to be truthful with you, but it's been a lot of learning lesson, and I'm grateful for it for sure. But it has definitely made me lose a lot of hair. Like a lot of hair. Like I don't even know how I have any on my head right now. Like I've just been having chunks of hair falling out with the stress, which again, nothing to do with the exchange student at all. It's just the process to get her registered into school was a lot more than I was anticipating, like a lot more. I personally thought that when the school accepts her into the program or accepts her into the school, like they're already creating a schedule based off of her requirements by her country that she has to take, and like none of that happens. So I don't know if it's just a particular school that just sucks at that, or it's just how school in general does it. So I don't really know. But what I'm going to say is things are starting to look up, and I know I haven't vlogged at all. We did go away this past weekend, and I kind of have some clips here and there, but to be truthful, I'll probably just scrap them, honestly, just completely scrap them. My mind has been in 1,000 different directions, but it has been extremely nice to kind of honestly sit down, turn on the camera, and just talk, even though you might not like this type of vlog, or it's not even a vlog, this type of video, and I'm sorry about that, but I just had to get this off my chest and onto the camera, truthfully, and I think that I just needed to get this out. So I know a lot of people are recommending that I do a lot of journaling just with everything that's going on, but I'm not the type of person to honestly journal. Like turning on this camera and just physically talking, whether I was to publish this on YouTube or not, like it just makes me feel better. It's something that I could reference back to. And that's really all that I need. I need to do this for me at this point. So if you guys end up doing this exchange program, just know the first week and a half is definitely a lot to take on. If you know any contacts with the school, then you might be golden. If you have contacts in urgent care, you might be golden. But that was not it in my case, and that's okay. You know what? Because every single bump we got past it. So the good news is that she's officially registered in school. She has her schedule she needs, and now we can finally relax and start planning things for her to do in the upcoming months. And we're actually going to be doing an exchange student eats American snack. So definitely make sure that you guys are subscribed. I did pick up some snacks. I want to pick up a couple more because there's a lot of things. She's going to the grocery store and she's like, I've never heard of this. I've never seen it. And I'm like, can I please film a video? And she's all about it. Like she's 100% okay with being on video and she doesn't mind it. So that makes me extremely happy as well. So we do have more vlogs and videos coming, I promise. Just bear with me with these hiccups, and I will definitely catch you guys on the next video. Bye.